Hey everybody, how are we doing tonight? Welcome. Come on in. Hey Riolani, hey Step Tiger, hey MH, hey Chase, hey Andrew. Welcome. Get all on in here. Okay, so as you all can probably read, I've got a special guest. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, special guest. Special guest.
Hey, can everybody hear me okay?
They should be able to. How bad is the echo? Or you may have to mute your version of the stream, I don't know. Yes, it's XCC2, that is correct.
The echo is terrible.
For you or for me? I'm not hearing any echo on your end, so it must be me, right?
I think it must be you.
Oh, it's probably because you've got my stream open on your end so that you can see what I'm doing. Make sure you, they don't hear an echo, right? So I'm assuming, yeah, you just have to get your side of the stream muted. The version you have open on YouTube. Just mute that. You got that?
Give me 1 minute here.
Okay. Okay, well, at any rate, everybody, I'm just getting my little area cleaned up. I'm going to start moving things. I've had this little platform for a while now. It's really quite surprising to have to move everything again. I've forgotten how much junk I got over here. Okay, I'm just gonna move everything upstairs. Right in here. You good, XCC2?
I think it's better now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think yep.
Should I, do it, or do we need to do another test of any kind, or?
Nope, I think if everybody can hear me okay,
Okay.
we're good to go.
Yeah, all right. Okay, well, this has been a long time coming, I guess. My, oh my. So, I guess we should start from the beginning. Give us a little introduction as to who you are and all of that. I mean, we can get into the ancient past and all sorts of fun stuff like that afterward. He sounds younger than me? No, he isn't. He's about 20-something years older than me.
That's funny. Are we sure about that? I don't know.
Well, no, yeah, you said 52, so no, actually, you're only like 19 years older than me.
Well, there you go. So 20. Let's just go with it.
20's closest, yeah.
So if anybody doesn't know who I am, I started on 2B2T maybe in 2011, I believe, early 2011, and yeah, it was a wild time of Minecraft beta, and I think, some of the exciting elements of it were that we were learning how to play Minecraft at the same time we were playing on a horrible
oh yeah, I can attest
server.
to how crazy a transition that is, especially when you're like, well, the wiki says to do this, but like every other person in the world or on the server is like shouting at you for not doing such and such, or for building too close to spawn or whatever. Like it was learning an entirely.
You're right, but back then, I mean, nobody really knew how to play. Like everybody was kind of figuring out at the same time, and
definitely
it was a dangerous place to learn how to play. I had been playing some single player a bit, and was really just looking for more engaging multiplayer type thing. And I think at some point I had joined some multiplayer server, and it was like creative multiplayer, and all it was like people like throwing blocks at each other, and it was just pure chaos. Like
wild.
At the time, there was nothing. Didn't even look like anything. There was no. I could go on and on, but until I found a 4chan thread that talked about 2B2T and just joined it for a random, random why not kind of thing, and I never looked back. Basically, it was like already had ruins and places to explore. And, it was a way to kind of like, you had to figure it out, find your way, and I did, and it was a good time. And I'm still to this day doing the same things that I did when I started.
Oh yeah, I know. I just, it's amazing to look back on how much things have changed, and yet how ironically they kind of stay the same, despite changing.
Yeah,
it just blows my mind that I've spent almost 10 years just screwing around on this server, and I don't know where else to like go now. Like I quit almost 2 years ago, and there's really nothing has been adequately able to replace 2B2T. It just hasn't. It's not the same without it. Like with Minecraft Hardcore, I know you said you don't understand or know what Hardcore is, and that one right there blows my mind, because Hardcore is just so famous. Like, so if you're looking at my stream, you see my hearts?
Yeah.
Okay, so you see how they're like weird and stuff? If I die, it will basically not allow me to play the world anymore. So it's essentially it's not quite like 2B2T, but it's like the closest pseudo-approximate I think you could ever hope for. It's a different experience. That's the best way I can put it. Like you get used to, like, I don't know how you wouldn't want to take certain risks, I guess, because you could die, and that could lose you your world.
Lose you your world? I mean,
yeah. Your world can be deleted.
So these aren't like Mojang or Microsoft mechanics.
No. This is a Mojang mechanic.
It is.
Oh yeah, my Hardcore was introduced in like 2012, man.
Well, I know. I mean, Hardcore is like as far as I know, it's just a version of survival.
Yes.
But you have no ability to recover from it if you.
Yeah. It's different, I make backups of my save, and like I'll make a backup maybe once every other month or once a month, something like that, when I think about it. And like I've died 2 or 3 times, and I've lost hours and hours of work. And I mean, the idea is you're supposed to lose everything, but I don't know. I find it's kind of like 2B2T, how you lose just enough, I guess. That's kind of my philosophy to it. And
that's interesting.
As you can see, I've done a hell of a lot of stuff. Like, look at this place.
It seems incredible that with the risk involved, you'd continue to put this much effort into this. But
I love it. I really do. Like, it's about the only decently, other than playing on a server that's like 2B2T, it's about the only other alternative I have. Mm-hmm. And so I've just kept keeping on because I've got an audience who actually wants to watch me, and like I've got that whole, oh my God, you're Jack the Ripper, you're that famous guy from 2B2T. Like that's in and of itself like funny to me. I don't see why people would care, because like for the longest time, you know, apart from the people who hated me, there really were not that many people who would care about anything. Like there were people who'd shoot the breeze with you. But it was never, like, 2B2T until 2016 never drew this level of attention. And so, like, just seeing people actually want to know, hey, what are you up to? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, what's your life like? It's a different sort of, it's weird, you know? I can see how Fit got into this, even if it is a little bit much. It's just wild.
Yeah, so in the comment in the chat really speaks to my experience. Is that exactly right? The built-in single-player features weren't really anything I was aware of. I mean, it's hard to believe. 10 years on, and I really haven't played single-player Minecraft enough to even understand what the implications of the hardcore game were. So.
Oh yeah, it's surreal. It's definitely surreal to find somebody who has like no idea. It just is.
My entire Minecraft experience is really centered around 2B2T.
I mean, like you said before the stream, you play 2B2T. Like Minecraft, as it's supposed to be, is tertiary in many ways.
Yeah, right.
It's not even like, it's not the same game. I can remember 3 or 4 other people we based at Valkyria. They mentioned basically the same thing, like, it's no longer about the blocks. And I'm like, yeah, wow, yeah, that's 2B2T, all right. It's its own wild, crazy experience that you kind of just, you either adapt to it and you play like the rest of us, or you get your shit griefed and you storm off and take your ball home with you. And like, especially after 2016, it's its own thing now, and like, I'm kind of happy, and I'm kind of not. Like, it's, as a result, like I said, it lost its meaning to me, as it was. Like, we mentioned this on, you know, before the stream, how it was, you know, there are people who go around erasing entire, you know, bases block by block, and like, they're just, it decimates the idea of what 2B2T used to be. And like, it's just not the same anymore, and I can't really put it any better way. Like, there's no value or meaning to 2B2T, and there's no joy to it like there was, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I not that I have
you're
a
not
different opinion.
Yeah, you're not 100% on board.
I don't want to diminish your experience with it, but my I've always been attracted to like post-apocalyptic style literature and movies and things like this. So like the whole concept of like exploring ruins and finding things that came before.
Yes.
It's really kind of what it's like my whole interest lies there.
Did you or well, no, you would have been way too young, but or no. Yeah, well, no, maybe I think you would have been the right generation. Yeah, did you ever, like, as a kid, fantasize about being Indiana Jones?
Oh, I mean, sure, yeah, that was like, I grew up during that whole...
Yeah, you did grow up during that time. I thought so. Okay.
Yeah, for sure I did. But really, more than that was, you know, this concept of just exploring what came before.
Right.
And even the original Face Punch 2B2T thread that was entitled Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. The title of the thread spoke to that concept, I think, in my mind.
Right.
Which was that, you know, there were these beings that came before us, and they did something, and some of them may still be here, but most of them are gone. But now it's ours, you know, to do with what we want.
Yes.
And we explored the server, and we found their ruins. And then we, you know, made them our own, or built upon them, or built our own ruins, or built our own.
Yeah, made our own stuff from scratch,
right.
And then it became the ruins the next 2 generations or so would find.
Right, that's right.
I know. So let's start with a little reminiscing, you know, down memory lane style stuff. What's the one base that you wish you could go back to? If it existed right now, or if you could rebuild it in such a way that it wouldn't be found again, or something like that.
Yeah, that's hard to say.
It is.
And
Yeah,
I'm
same.
kind of most famously known for my base at hilariously negative 400.
Yeah, NFE.
800. Yeah. So
NFE. Oh man.
That at one point that was considered a far distance from spawn.
Really?
Because spawn was 0,0.
Yeah.
Right. You were at 0,0. That's it. That was spawn. There was no randomized spawning on 2B2T. You spawned at 0,0. And to travel 1,000 blocks away without sprint, because keep in mind, in early beta versions of Minecraft, sprint wasn't even a thing. You just walked. There was no sprinting.
God, I couldn't live that way.
Yeah, so your speed was very slow, and you could head in any of the 4 different quadrants. Here was this base that I found, and it was in ruins, and I had been playing for a couple weeks before I found it, and I decided to make it my own and repair it with some other one other guy that I met there randomly. And the funny thing is that we lived there and built for months with only the occasional random person showing up. Now, of course, the traffic back then was so low. Like there weren't hundreds of people joining per day. In fact, I don't know if you remember this, but there were floods of people that joined during waves of propaganda that came out from people finding the server that were like influencers within online media. Like what was the do you remember there was like a big online magazine or something where somebody published around 2012 an article about 2B, and people flooded the server.
Yeah, I remember that, and that happened in 2013 with IGN.
2013, yes, right. So
yeah, the IGN invasion.
There were these waves of people that came as a result of random bits of propaganda that occurred,
Fit ironically joined from one of those propaganda type posts that they made.
And a lot of people, this is where the nomenclature came from, the old fags versus the mid fags, the new fags. And truly speaking, these mid-level players didn't occur until, late 2012, I think.
2012, 2013, and then, of course, now we're all ancient, comparatively. Like,
well, no, you'll always be new to me, Jack.
I suppose, yeah. That's a good point.
So the old players are always, and then there's the mids that joined in like 2012 and 2013, and then everybody after 2013 is just pure new. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're going to be playing for a decade, but you're just going to be new. But that's just my perspective.
I was always trying to be more, I don't know, generous with it. Like, you have to play for half the server's lifetime. Whatever the server's lifetime currently is, if you can play half that time, I consider you well-rounded enough to have gotten most of the idea of 2B2T under your belt, and as a result, you're probably worth basing with. You probably have a decent level of understanding. You can do stuff. You're not, like, helpless. You're possibly even actually good at Minecraft. And stuff like that. And, like, yeah. But I can see it that way. There was always that sort of, I don't want to say elitist, but that older mindset of you're just forever stuck in the year in which you joined, and that's all there is to you. And it's like, yikes. But I can understand that's a very 4chan mindset, and that's the server's roots, if nothing else.
If nothing else, you're exactly right.
I can only hope it ends up going back one day, like the tide shifts and the old becomes new again, and like the circle is sort of completed. I would love for that to happen on 2B2T someday. I doubt it.
There's just too much churn. There's too much new people joining and leaving. It just never ends. It's just, I don't know how we ever get beyond that again.
I know.
Anyway, I did boost my input a little bit, so some people were mentioning that maybe my volume levels were a little low. I don't know if it still sounds low.
I've turned them all the way up to max, so yeah. If XCC2's done all he can, that's probably the last-ditch effort. But you sound fine to me, but I have headphones in, so it may be just a little bit difficult to like get it right. But yeah, we'll try.
All right, sounds fine now. I did turn it up a little bit. So some people were asking about the origins of my name, and
yeah. I've never actually asked this.
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. Maybe it's not all that interesting. Somebody said, "What happened with XCC1?" Funny enough, that was lost. I was given 2 accounts. I was given XCC1, and somebody else gave me XCC3, and I had both of them for a while, and I've lost them both, sadly.
Oh.
And yeah, I don't know. I just didn't log into them enough, and then somebody else
sniped them, maybe.
Somebody else snatched it away. And in fact, I just lost XCC1 maybe about a week or 2 ago because I was fucking around with them. Yeah, I was doing some purling and name changing, and sadly it was lost.
Oh, the name got sniped.
The name got sniped. Yeah, exactly.
So you still have access to the account. Okay.
Yeah. The accounts are all fine, but I lost the name. And that's another stupid element. I remember back when we couldn't change our Minecraft names, and you were who you were. And
yeah.
There was some purity to that, I think, that I kind of missed.
I really wish they hadn't introduced the name change. Because, like, while it was interesting because you could suddenly be somebody else, it kind of made names and accounts with special names more valuable than they actually are. Because at the end of the day, it's a Minecraft account. Like, who cares?
Who cares? Yeah. But now you can look at an account and say, well, this account has never been renamed, and it's been the same one since inception. And truly, XCC2 is one of those accounts. It's never been name changed or...
oh, man. I wish I hadn't, but, like, I did do that. I changed the name of Jacktherippa several times just to, like, throw people off my trail. And then eventually I had to change it back, because obviously I didn't want to lose the name. And I've never lost the name, thankfully. But there were, especially the most recent time, it was right before I quit. Do you remember in early 2020 there was this account login exploit? How people could log in? It was predominantly the nerds. Yeah. They were logging into other people's accounts. So I changed my name to avoid getting noticed, basically.
Yeah, it was session stealing as well.
Yeah, session stealing. And so I was like, well, if I don't change my name and then move my account away somewhere where they can't, find my base, I'm hosed. Space Valk 3 is hosed. Obviously, this was before the...
I mean, you had a lot to lose.
The Turks hadn't found us, so we didn't know, but we were hosed anyway, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, it is sad. And during those times, I've basically been playing the game as a weird wandering nomad that just like combs across the 2B2T landscape, restoring builds of my own or other people that I've known. And then, I'm kind of aligned with a group of people, and we choose a build, and we fix it to the best of our abilities and expand upon it, and then hang out there until it gets found, and then we idle and then move on to the next one. But to get back to your original question, so probably, NFE holds a special place in my heart because of the insane amount of effort that went into keeping this place preserved.
I know.
Years.
I'll never forget seeing or hearing you in, what was it, late 2013, early 2014? You were like, I'm restoring NFE. And I had just been through there, and it was nothing but wither holes, lava casts.
Nothing.
There was nothing recognizable about the place. And I was like, are you sure? And you were dead set on it. You were dead set on that, and I was like, all right.
But I had already done it like several times, and what I would do is I'd be off building with other groups of people at some other base, and we had many bases that were relatively well-known or became well-known and popular at the time. The old Ziggy base and Imperator's base.
Yes.
And I was basing with people like Cold Wave and Bran, and we were basing at it was called Passy Town, but it was Squid Base with people like Police Mike, and I was building at these places all at the same time, and I would occasionally, when things slowed down at those places, wander back to spawn, because that was a big thing too. Even if you were out building at some base, far away, like 40K out or something, you would return to spawn with regularity. And the idea was that you would, encounter new friends that were joining and maybe kill them or maybe befriend them, or just see what the state of the local terrain was there. And I spent, sometimes weeks and months at spawn doing nothing but restoring the road through spawn at 42Z, which became another one of my projects.
I remember that
And,
road.
Yeah, it was before the road at 0 was ever built. There was one at 42
Yes.
that I found on one of my first joins back in early 2011, and it was a 3-block wide road that just went
Yeah, it
plus
just
and
went
minus
off.
X at the 42Z.
That,
It went actually between 42, 43, and 44Z.
Okay, yeah.
pretty
That
wide.
road was camped by Sato 86 back during the first and second incursions. And like it became a point of contention because newer players were just getting so mad at Sato just constantly camping it because that was the point of the incursion. And they were just like, yeah, we can't get out of spawn because this incredibly convenient road is being spawn camped. And I can remember going, haha, just take another route, you idiots, because that's what I did when I was fresh out of spawn. I didn't take any established roads because I knew highwaymen like Sato were on those roads. And I was like, you people are stupid, you deserve what you get.
Right.
And
But
yeah.
I spent all my time like maintaining that road, and I built like these little flaming towers along it.
That was you?
Yeah, I did this for
Oh my
forever,
God.
constantly returning back to spawn and building the little flaming lighted ways all along it for 1,000
Holy
blocks in either
crap.
direction.
I had no idea that was your handiwork. I'd seen those, of course, as time went on, they would get more and more lava casted, and I was like, why are there so many little chunks of netherrack here and there? And I do remember them being little flaming torches way back when, and I was like, huh. Well, that has to be, you know, something someone set up. Oh my God, that was you're doing the entire time.
Yeah, forever. I did it for years, actually, for years. And a lot of my old, I had preserved
crap.
a lot of world downloads of that along that road, and I have renders that I made for years of the
Oh yeah, I remember
along
the
that road. Yeah, and you can like typically point out that road. You can see it in just about every one of those renders with the little lit torches along.
Yes,
it.
I remember the what was it? It was the big spawn render you made in like late 2013. It was right around the time the wither holes started to just swallow spawn.
That's the one that's been kind of known to be like the famous, the definitive 2B2T spawn render. Which
That
is hilarious.
one got a lot
I
of mileage.
I should have made an NFT out of it, and I could have like laughed all the way to the bank.
Oh my God. NFTs. Oh, dude. Well, that was so many years before NFTs were even a thing, though. You couldn't have known.
I know. I could have like maybe patented. I don't know who would pay for that sort of
Eh.
thing. Anyway, it's kind of cool to see. When
It
you look up
is.
2B2T on the internet, there's my render every time, and nobody
I
even
know.
knows it's my render. But I actually have the original timestamp on my hard drive when I rendered that damn world download back then. It's just,
Oh, man, I tell you. It reminds me of how, you know, we look at things in the moment and we go, huh, that's neat, that's weird. And we were always so bad about recognizing, you know, this is something that will live on for years and years and years.
Yeah, who knew that it would? Because,
Who knew that it would? Yeah, I mean,
Well, because House was intent upon pulling the plug on it. He was looking for a reason to give the server away. He did not want to do it anymore.
right.
And eventually he called us to the carpet. He's like, if you're not going to pay for this, I'm not going to keep hosting it. And we
Right.
did, month over month, basically fund this thing for a few years.
It's
And,
hilarious how that would end up becoming such a lucrative business, too.
Just incredible. That,
It's sickening, but it's also kind of like, you know, like he walked away from it in, what was it, 2014? He was not going to give us the time of day from that point on.
Yeah.
Until suddenly the Russia war starts and it's like, oh, you guys will pay $20 a month to be able to join at a slightly faster rate, will you? Well, in that case, you know, pulls out wallet. Here it is. I mean, it just
that to comprehend the cash flow. Basically, we built his business for him.
Oh, we did.
And
God, did we ever?
And people like our friend Fit, who is making plenty of money himself. And that's not to say that he doesn't have, you know, he has his personality and he's put forth the effort, and good for him that he's found a way to capitalize on it. Because I was too dumb to do it. So good for him.
That, and I don't think the climate for 2B2T was there yet. With like, You know, because that was, what, early 2011, 2012-ish? Like, you didn't really see people making 2B2T stuff, except for, like, you know, here I am trying to survive on this server, and then it never went anywhere. And so there was no way to realistically, like, make anything more of it, because we all thought this server's gonna die, you know, a quiet death in the dark, and nobody will care. It won't be mourned. It will just be like, well, I guess 2BTT's, the plug's finally been pulled. Go on with your lives, people. Like, how could you realistically, unless you were the camping rusher, how could you realistically have made, you know, how could you have become fit before fit became fit? Like,
right. No, not possible.
It wouldn't have been plausible, let alone possible. Nobody would have given you the time of day, because there are a bajillion other people who made some small video and just never went anywhere. And that's fine, I guess, but I would have preferred it be someone who wouldn't have been so eager to, like, make the server out to be, you know, here's the freak show, come watch, come look at it.
Yeah.
And it just became what it is.
Well, I don't know if he's ever really done an accurate representation of the true freak show that the server is. I mean,
I don't think he ever could, though.
I think it's pretty tame compared to some.
Yes.
The way that it's been portrayed, yeah.
It's telling that, you know, half of the 2B2T stuff. Like, I went through a lot of my older screenshots because somebody asked me, you know, tell us a story, Jack, about something you've not told us before. And I'm like, okay, well, so I'm busy building on Space Valk 3, and I'm like, okay, well, what's something I've really not told people about? Oh, I remember. And I go on to early 2014 type stuff. And I'm just like, okay, here, let me just show you some of my screenshots. And I realized halfway through I was showing screenshots of bad shit that you can't show on YouTube. And I'm like, oh God, I've got to do something about this. So I ended up having to, like, private the video. And I'm just like, yeah, that's exactly why Fit can't do that. Is because...
Really? No.
Well, I can't do that.
No,
like, I'm not fit,
I mean, you're
but
creating,
I can't do it.
You're creating content that's really not fit for human consumption, because that's what the server is.
Right.
It's worse than most people realize. Or it was. I think back then...
It's not anymore, but it was.
It's not. Yeah, it definitely was, yeah.
It's kind of telling how, as a society, we've been a little bit, I don't want to say dumbed down, but our edge has dulled. And we've allowed it to dull. And
but there's when you're trying to monetize things,
right,
you have to be careful, I guess, is really the long and short of it.
There's nothing you can do, because you're just one person in the system ultimately. No matter how big your subscriber base or how crazy your following or whatever, at the end of the day, you gotta eat. And
you gotta eat. Yeah.
These people will make sure you can or can't.
Yeah. So anyway, that base, NFE, was rebuilt many times by me, and then it ultimately in 2014 it met its end for the most part, and was lava casted to such a degree that and subsumed by spawn, which just grew around it, especially once spawning, I think, has basically been pushed out into the thousands. Like, I remember, there was a period of time where guys would sit with a kill aura at 0-0, and anybody that joined the server would just be, like, slaughtered instantaneously. And guys like Liveleon and...
Oh, man, that's a name.
Yeah, and some of these other dudes, Leonorius.
Oh, man, Leonorius.
Yeah, the ZXC, ZV1.
Yeah.
It would just camp at 0-0, all three of them together, with kill aura on. And anytime somebody joined the server, they were just killed, and nobody could actually join the server. Ultimately, House added in the randomization, and the original was, I think, 256 blocks around 0-0 was how far it was for some years. And it's pushed out now, and it's hilarious. When you join, you may spawn out at 1,000 or 1,500, I think, is like the chat says, something along those lines. I mean, I killed and spawned ironically at NFE at one point, which is that was funny.
That is just like some next level.
Yes, it is, because I don't die often. Yep.
Yeah.
So the group that I was part of for some time and still play with some of these guys, they actually went and they hollowed out the lava cast at NFE and turned it into like basically a giant cobbled dome. And within it, a few years ago, for the 10-year anniversary of NFE, the entire base was rebuilt block for block at the exact
Oh,
places.
I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, it was an amazing time, and it was around
wow.
Christmas time we did it, and we had an event there, and about 15 or 20 of us showed up, and there was some, plenty of screenshots and renders made of this giant, like, cave with the entire base housed within inside of it. It was really just a blast. These guys
Man, I wish I'd known about that. I might have actually tried to join.
Yeah, it was an amazing time, and I think some of your early experiences on 2B were through that base.
It was at NFE.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people were, and that was kind of my goal, was to have a place that was available for new players to come and kind of get their feet when we first joined the server. And I'd invite people and give them some food and maybe gear them up and send them on their way. And sometimes they'd, wreck shit and then leave, or they would, build something of their own and then leave, or hang out for a while, or help repair and that kind of thing. But for a while, I had one of the only functioning end portals.
Yeah, the end portal in your basement. I hunted for an end portal for months, or weeks rather, not months. In early 2012, because a friend of mine, I'd met this friend. He was a mod on this faction server, and we would make our faction base out in the depths of the end. And it was only like 1 or 2 kilometers away from the main end island, but that was it. That was really far because nothing would generate out there. And so he was like, yeah, you could build an entire city out here. And I was like, maybe we should. Maybe we should do that. Well, we can't really do that on the faction server because it would reset its map. And, eventually the dwellers got wind of what we were doing, and they would hunt the end, and then the owner shut down land claiming and building in the end. And so they really rained on our parade. But you could do that on 2B2T. Yeah, and so I was like, yeah, we should move out into the end in 2B2T. Hey, where's the end portal? And it was in good old NFE. And I was just like,
that was hand built. And it's kind of funny because House was completely hacked off that we did this. We basically
items.
generated. I mean, what we did is we generated a map that didn't exist before. Like if you look on a Minecraft server or world or data directory, there's actually a map called the_end, and this is where the end is stored.
Right.
And it didn't exist, and suddenly we did it. We built it, and we generated this. And he was convinced that it wasn't possible because, there was no portals at the time.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't legitimate, at the very least.
We were holding the blocks that could be used to activate the end. So we did it. He was incredibly pissed, and after some months, he deleted the entire end map.
God, he deleted my very first base on 2B2T because I was living in the end by that time. Mm-hmm. I had made I've got a few screenshots of it, but it's not like super fantastic or anything. And I had made, because this friend of mine and I, we wanted to like do something on 2B2T because it was the server to be on, and we knew it. And then it just kind of all fell apart. And then House deletes my literal base. And I'm just like, what the hell? And I do remember, do you remember me questioning you about this? You may not, it may have been so long by now. I asked you in late 2012, what happened to the old end? And then you told me, yeah, it got deleted. And that's what had happened. You filled me in on this.
He literally smoked the files off of the server and like wiped the entire. He didn't just like wipe the map. He like deleted the files. They were gone forever. Oh. So anything that was in the old end map was just lost because he was beside himself with the anger that we did this. So here's another funny element to it. At the time, I told him he was trying to figure out how to re-enable the end in a way that he had a strange purity of
what is legitimate, what isn't.
Yes, correct. Yes, he did. And this was a weird guiding principle that he was trying to manage the server by, that if it didn't exist or shouldn't exist, he wasn't going to allow it to exist. So
Good point. Yeah.
So I suggested to him that he could use. There was a world edit command called, I think it was like
//
or-
regen.
Yeah. So I said, why don't you find the coordinates where there should be end portals and use that command to generate the end portals that should already exist. And at the time, the version of Minecraft that existed, I think there was only 3 end portals when it first came out. Is that right? Do you remember?
Yes, because he did that in it was May of 2013.
Yeah.
And
so
that
he
was
he actually took my
3
exact
portals.
recommendations, and he went and he built the 3 end portals that should be there. And of course, they were promptly griefed because that's what happened.
It's
People found a way to destroy them or whatever happened. And there was one that was actually not far from NFE.
Actually, I'm the one who griefed them.
Okay, so I mean, you do you.
Yeah. Well, we destroyed them though.
And there was a whole method that he used then to try to protect those original.
Yeah, he put bedrock around them. That was so cool. Because basically, we ended up finding out in late 2013 that there was a dark oak sapling exploit that would cause them to grow in such a way that the logs would overwrite a portal.
In fact, really. Do you remember the guys? I'm Unique. I'm
Unique. Yeah.
And there was another guy with him whose name was Tailsan, was his buddy, and they played together. And
really,
O'Malley Mix and I found one of their bases out like 15 or 20,000 blocks out, maybe 40K out. I don't know how far it was. And it was a fantastic base. But on the nether side of it, they had built a ramp up to the nether roof, and they had used the dark oak exploit to remove a giant amount of bedrock on the roof, so that they could ride horses up a ramp directly onto the roof of the nether. Which prior to that, we were doing things like using weird hacks and putting like horses in boats and like
we had to
up to the roof. Anyway, they built a giant ramp, and you could just go into the nether right by their base, and then and ride the horse right up onto the ramp. The base was really fantastic that they had built, and it was in the sand, a really cylindrical, cool, multi-tiered base that we found. And the horse tower, the I'm Unique horse tower, if you look it up, that was really cool.
I've seen it before.
Yeah, so right near that base was where there was a nether portal where you could go in and ride the horses up the ramp. Anyway, Tuna nuked that base.
Oh, man.
Thanks for that, Tuna. Was what it was. But anyway, cool exploit. And similar to the one that occurred, strangely, it's amazing that Mojang didn't learn their lesson, but when giant mushrooms came out, there was the similar exploit where you could plant a giant mushroom and destroy bedrock. And I was just playing last week, in fact, and we were looking at some old NFE world downloads that I had made with some different guys, and we found these world downloads of NFE where underneath the base there's giant sections where the bedrock is removed, and you could fall into the void below the base.
Oh, wow.
And that was all done with the mushroom exploit, the original one. Yeah.
Oh, man, I remember so many cool things like that. We ended up escaping Valkyria, fun fact, from Pop Bob, because during, I believe it was Drew Bookman, he'd griefed Valkyria the first time, and then he was going to go back after remembering where it was, and he knew we were all there. So he was going to go back.
I remember all that.
Yeah.
And in fact, that was one of the first times I ever played directly with you, was at the original
Valkyria.
Valkyrie. Yeah.
Oh, man, that was so awesome. And because like I felt like I had sort of like arrived, you know what I mean? Like there were people who I looked up to. You were almost mythical, you know? And I'd actually, for the first time ever, gotten the luxury of playing with someone whom I kind of like idolized you for a hot minute.
Well, it's funny. I mean, Sato
and Sato did too, yeah.
Yeah, out the Valk. And I remember seeing your the atelier that you had built.
Yes, I love that place.
What a fantastic underground build. That was.
Oh,
just,
I know. I still try to
amazing.
build in that style from time to time, just to like make things sort of nostalgic, I guess. Because it does harken me back to when times were simpler, and like I had this little rinky-dink job that I'd go to every now and then every other day I'd be absolutely locked into 2B2T, and I could just unwind. It was a great time, and all that is gone now.
Yeah, true enough. Those were the glory days.
Those were the days.
No.
I don't think we could ever, like, I know Fit released a video I don't know, maybe not long, probably about 2-ish years ago now. He asked the question, is it possible for there to be a 2B2T analog in Hytale? Because I was kind of looking forward, a lot of people were looking forward to whatever Hytale will end up becoming. And like, I'm kind of the opinion that the way 2B2T was founded, it was an accident. Players made it what it was purely because that was just kind of how the attitude was at the time. Attitudes are almost entirely different nowadays, and I just don't feel like there are going to be, especially you've heard the latest kerfuffle with Mojang and the player reporting stuff, right?
Oh yeah, terrible. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So like stuff like that is kind of just proof that I really don't think another 2B2T can come about, simply because they're not going to let it. There are too many people who don't want that.
Yeah, it's been sanitized.
It's been so sanitized, right? Life as a whole has been clamped down on. Freedom and fun just can't really be had in quite the same way.
Well, and the server grew organically through the iterations of Minecraft that were, from beta onward. So. And
it was so, I don't know, the way Minecraft came to exist as it is today was so unplanned and accidental. I don't think you can have that same level of accidental or...
No, it's too popular.
Crazy.
There's just
everything
too many people that are aware of it, and that's just it.
Everything is more connected than it's ever been. People are so, like, they want to put themselves on a higher level. Now they want to be professional, and I don't blame them. But that does kind of cut out the soul of a lot of things, too. And so, I don't think we'll ever have quite the same level of crazy helter-skelter development that we did. And it shows, like, people just are not, I don't know, there's a higher level of expectation nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
I have this recollection of maybe sometime in 2012 or even late 2011, where House updated the server, and there was some weird bug that was immediately obvious.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I can't recall what the bug was.
Was it the seed, the player seed, or the player?
No. This was way before. This was way before that. It was something very minor, like suddenly. I wish I could remember what it was. It was affecting gameplay in some obvious way, and within the same day that this bug was known, I don't know if it wasn't an exploit or anything like this, but
it was just a quality of life thing.
Yeah, some kind of weird gameplay mechanic was like weirdly broken.
Was it like mob spawning?
I wish I could remember what it was, and I could try to rack my brain, but I'm old and it was too long ago. But ultimately, the moral of the story is, House actually was, I believe he was either directly following or possibly in contact with Notch, who was actively coding the fix to it, and we were waiting, and House came back and said, okay, he said it's fixed. And he dropped I'm restarting now, and he dropped a new server version, and
wow,
the problem was fixed. I mean, this is how intimate the multiplayer scene was at the time. It was like, this guy who wrote the product was not aligned with Microsoft. There weren't millions of people playing this game.
Yeah.
And, he was literally fixing things in real time while interacting with the people that were using his product, probably through some forum. I don't even know where,
maybe Twitter? But I don't know. Twitter was in its infancy.
I don't even know. It may not. Yeah, it wasn't.
Maybe it was Minecraft forums, or maybe Notch's blog, because Notch had a blog back then.
Could have been. Yeah, could have been. And House was contributing to it and providing feedback and getting the updated code.
We got somewhere.
In real time, and we were watching it all happen. I mean, how do you? That'll never be reproduced because it's a monster now, right? It's a monster.
Well, not just that, but I think just in general, with any game, you really won't see that kind of TLC and attention anymore, just because, like, especially with like Twitter and other sort of public forums now, it almost feels like if you're doing something that has caught attention, you're on a pedestal now. You're on a level above us plebeians, and approaching you and interacting with you, if you are not also on that same level, is nigh impossible.
Yeah, it's just not done. Nope, you're right.
And you're lucky if you have an in to anyone who has that sort of understanding or that sort of connection with anybody. And nowadays, I almost feel like people are... There isn't a care for the common person, you know? It almost feels like there's almost no... There's a big disconnect now, and we don't feel as cohesive anymore.
Yeah, but there's also more...
And there's more connectivity.
Well, there's indie development that actually goes on.
Yeah.
It's just hard to connect to because there's so much of it. And we're drowning in these giant, these monolithic platforms. So how do you find... this is kind of the problem with that I have with music these days. There used to be a way that we had this commonality where we would like turn on the radio or you'd be watching, some of the same TV shows, and people had this common cultural experience with music or television. And similarly, as gaming has evolved, we've also gotten lost in the massive amounts of it that's being produced, to the point where your experience, even with the same game, Jack, that I play, is vastly different than what I experience, because we've lost the commonality. It's grown so large that
there's almost
you can find your own path.
There's more interconnectivity, and yet ironically there's more segregation.
Yeah, because it's too big.
It's so massive and cavernous now.
Yeah.
There's no way to possibly know every single thing that's going on, because before there may have only been a handful of things going on, and now it's like, where do you even begin?
Yeah, it's a flood. It's like trying to drink out of a hose on full blast. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. You're lucky to get a few sips in and it not overpower you.
Right.
Yeah. I've made it a point to just, like, my extent of interaction with, like, Twitter and stuff is to do exactly one tweet a day and no more. And just leave it all in whatever subspace, ether, space, whatever it exists, and just leave it all out there. Come back to it, do another one, and then just go about my life and just not worry about it. Because, I mean, what am I going to do? I'm just one person at the end of the day. And it's so overwhelming now. The Wild West is not wild, but yet it is more crazy than ever. But good luck. Like, it's so ominous. I hope we can keep some sort of, like, civilization. Some of this era is, like, learned about somewhere down the road, and that people can improve from this way, and that it's not always going to stay this way. I would love for that, but I don't know. I'm hoping we're not, like, stuck in this sort of era of information overload. I would like for that to be.
This may be as good as it gets. It could be all downhill from here.
Oh God, yeah.
Enjoy it while we can.
We may not have it too much longer anyway.
time.
Collapse of civilization or some other something or another.
Yeah, good. Then we can all explore the ruins together in real life. Yay.
2B2T in real life. I look forward to that. Yeah.
All right, let's just
God
do that.
no. I really the thing I liked about 2B2T is that it was from the comfort of my own room, and that I could turn it off and walk away when I wanted.
Yeah, right.
I was not
But could
forced
you
to be.
ever really walk away? I don't know
Yeah,
if you could.
yeah, I could totally walk away.
Good. Well, good for you. Yeah, I mean, even today, it's funny because at various times when I was either building a base or restoring a place or had put an inordinate amount of effort into some build,
Oh, I know.
I would compulsively log in and check it to make sure that it hadn't been found and ruined. So, like, I would be building during the day while I'm working, and this has kind of been my experience with 2B2T. I use it as an outlet for my daily job. I've been working from home for some decades, and when things are slow at work or I'm on a work-related mindless conference call, I'd log in and, like, do, dumb things.
Oh my
like
God.
build something.
Yeah.
And then I get committed to the build and have to finish it, and it's fantastic. And then I'm like, man, somebody's going to find it and ruin it. So there I am at night, 2 or 3 times before I go to sleep at night, and I check on it to make sure it hasn't been found. Well, don't you know, I've been working on a base restoration in the last couple weeks, and I'm doing it again. I'm logging in a couple times a night to make sure that nobody's been there. Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Oh, well.
Anyway, some old habits die hard. And in the chat, somebody mentioned, is it true you work professionally as a computer engineer programmer? I've been working in IT for some decades and at various levels. And I used to work for IBM, which is obviously a large organization for a number of years. And it distilled itself down into this like bureaucratic mess of just corporate nothingness. And I spent almost 10 years probably working no more than 2 hours a day, doing almost no actual work and just playing on 2B2T. So that was the peak of my Minecraft experience. And
oh man,
yeah, I did nothing. I would get in the morning, log into my work-related things, check 2 things, and then just get on 2B and just play all day long. And I did this for a long time. And this is how it all started. I no longer work for them, and I have I have a different career path. Still in IT, doing something much more mentally engaging that doesn't really allow for me to play nearly as much as I used to. But I still do get on during the day, and while I'm on some work-related calls, I may be on exploring or building still to this day.
Wow.
Incredible. Yeah.
That is. There were times, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where I was kind of questioning what I wanted to do with my life. This is around the time I was making Space Valk 3 for the very first time, so it was a secret. And I wasn't really that well known, and people they recognized me in chat. They knew who I was from Fit, but it wasn't a thing, And so I was kind of curious as to what sort of career path that I would have for myself. And I was like, well, I know XCC2 gets to have a job where he plays all damn day, but I'm not an IT guy, and I know very little about all of that realm of, the world. But what on earth could I do with my life that would be comparable to that? And the funny bit is, I think I kind of stumbled upon that very idea, even though it wasn't quite what I expected it to be, but it's interesting to get to do something you like, yeah,
that's the goal, really. I mean,
yes.
We should all have some outlet to just enjoy and relax.
Right. And I really I hate the fact that everything changed the way that it did, because it really did rob me of that outlet to a degree. And now I'm just I at least get to build the cool things I like to build. But beyond that, if I didn't have that, I don't know. That was the thing that really got me with the chat reporting, was that it seems like Minecraft is really kind of on the decline now.
Yeah.
And the problem with that is, this is my outlet. This is me. This is who I am. I can't imagine not doing this, not being in game in some fashion, to some degree, and I don't want to entertain that idea. You know, this is just how my life has become. Like I may be able to do away with 2B2T, and I'm like okay with that. But Minecraft as a whole, I need this as a creative outlet in my life.
Yeah,
I can firmly say that.
Well,
now.
that's good. It's a healthy hobby.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, you're missed. Because I
really?
remember the days when, I mean, I don't know if anybody else misses you, but
I'm
I will
sure they
say,
do, if you say that.
Well, there's whole groups of people that I honestly miss. And I met some really fantastic people while playing on that terrible server.
Yes.
And there was nothing better than, like, you know, do you recall in late, it was around 2014, 2015, I had built this base near spawn that was a giant prismarine.
Yes, the prismarine
thing.
castle.
Yeah, right.
Oh, that was so cool. Yes, I was there a bunch.
Yeah, so that's right. I thought you were, and I think you had a bed and a little cave that I had built out on the side of it.
I think so.
For
Yes,
a while.
that sounds familiar.
So what had happened was, this was right on the time that the Guardian. What was that? What's the
Yeah,
thing
the
called?
Guardian
Where the
farm. Guardians were
right.
added.
So what I found was that there were places on the map near spawn where there were supposed to be Guardians, but because the terrain had already been generated, it was actually just dirt. So no Guardian could spawn there. But at these coordinates, there should have been some. So what we figured out was, me and ZXC, that if we dug out this big spot and filled it with water, Guardians would appear there. And sure enough, that's what happened. So we went to that place.
That was
and
amazing.
It was right on the, it was on the edge of some water, and we dug out the rest of it, and I created a Guardian farm and built the Prismarine Fortress, is what I called it. And then shortly after, Passy, my friend Pascal from Sweden, built his dirt mansion just across the water.
Oh my god, the dirt mansion. Oh, that inspired a build on Space Valk 3.
Yeah,
I'll have to show it to you. Yeah, I'll have to show you all that. That's some crazy stuff. But we'll get to that. I'll do a Space Valk 3 look around at the end of the stream.
Well,
but yeah,
so point is, my point being that, you know, that was another example of one of these times where I don't think I had talked to you for a while, and suddenly you know, you popped up somewhere and you're like, hey, what's up? And it was, oh man, Jack, what have you been up to?
Oh, like, hey, I had been playing a modded single-player world. I remember now. I was on a 2B2T vacation for a time, and I was like, you know, I had gotten kind of bored of it because late 2014 was boring as hell. And so I quit for a time, a little, you know, 2-3 month stint. Come back, I hear there's a big base that was Asgard 2. And there were other people just sort of buzzing around, stuff was going on, and I just was like, hey, I'm back, you know, what's going on, guys? And the rest is history. And then Asgard 2 and then Space Valk 1 happens. And yeah, wow.
Amazing, yeah.
It is.
But the idea in my mind when I was there was, here's somebody that I had played with on and off over the years, and suddenly Jack shows up, and what's going on? Hey man, come see this place I just built. You show up there, you drop a bed, and then, you know, it becomes another sort of toehold into your next sort of chapter of 2B existence.
Oh, definitely. And, because the best part about that, especially the Prismarine Castle itself, all the sea lanterns at Space Valk 1 came from that Prismarine farm. And that was a new block at the time, and it was impossible to get them anywhere near spawn because Guardians. We assumed that, like with everything else, it was, you know, all this terrain had already been generated. You're not gonna get that type of stuff because it's already been generated. You know, you're just gonna have to kind of like find a place way far out, make your own, or get lucky with a dupe or something like that. But no. You come to me at the perfect moment, and you're like, yeah, I've got this farm here. You should join. You should come see it. And I'm like, and it works, because farms on 2B2T were kind of spotty.
Yeah, we had all this weird fortuitous things where we ran into each other at really just opportune
the perfect time.
Yeah.
The right time, the right place makes all the difference.
Yeah,
it truly does.
like with the weird block dupe exploit at the
Oh,
time
yeah.
that I had.
The infinite items, the infinite blocks. You had those.
Infinite block.
And
right.
you're donating those to me was just amazing.
Yeah,
like,
that was great. That was one of the most terrifying moments of my 2B existence, was climbing that giant tower off of who was it? Stupid.
Yeah, it was Stupid Walrus's base. Yes.
Yeah. So I go to the base, which we had used to farm pearls.
Yeah, ender pearls.
Yeah, forever. What a great base, which was hilariously made or accessible by the weird plugin that House created to create like
to fix holes in the nether roof and then the floor and all that.
Right, where Stupid Walrus walked out there creating the path of bedrock all the way out to the base.
Yeah, I told him to do that. He showed me about that. Thing. He showed me that, and Tristan made a video back when Tristan was still trustworthy and all that. And Tristan made a video on this phenomenon, and I didn't know what it was at the time. And then, of course, later on we found out what had happened. And so Stupid Walrus is like, I want to build a base. And I'm like, well, you should build an end base. And he's like, oh, yeah. And then I showed him Tristan's video of him generating that bedrock. And I'm like, yeah, you should do this and then go out like 50 kilometers. Because there were no end islands back then. There was just the main island, and that was it. And I was like, yeah, if you build a giant, long, I guess it would sort of be like an isthmus or a peninsula, something like that.
Yeah, peninsula.
And I just told him do it.
End spawn, right?
Yeah, and he was like, no, I'm afraid of heights. I can't go out that far. And he worked up the nerve to go out 1,500 blocks or something. And that was the end of it. And I was like, all right, well, you did a good job, man. You made a nice base, and holy shit, he's still around kicking, too. Like, I don't know if he plays 2B2T, but he still plays games. I have him on Steam and stuff.
How funny is that?
I know. No oh. The world isn't so bad, really.
It's not. I mean, these people, they're still out there, still floating around.
Right.
And we can circle back to that thought in a minute, but the thought that comes to mind was I somehow had run into you, or was it Alpha that I was talking to? I don't know who it was.
Maybe an Alpha.
It was probably you, where I was giving you the secret that I had been told about the infinite items. And
oh, no, that was before Alpha. That had to have been me then.
It must have been. But I think what had happened was...
I don't think Alpha had even joined yet.
It was either Pyro or Tristan's... I think it was... I don't know whose back door it was that allowed you to use the alphanumeric code with the anvil to create the...
It was Pyro and Tristan's.
Yeah, so they had done it together. And somebody had let me in on it, and it was hilarious because I was still at Imperator's base at the time, and we became aware of this exploit. And I let Oftopia know about it. And we went off of Imp's base of a couple thousand blocks, and we built a duping area where we created the Imps, and we loaded this... I think it was a mushroom biome.
Yeah.
And it was packed with all of these chests. There was no shulker boxes. We didn't have any. I think that wasn't a thing at the time.
It wouldn't be a thing for another year and a half.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing. So we were loading these double chests full of duped infblock items.
Oh,
and,
wow.
A week or two after that, this is where the whole thing went. Well, it was Pop Bob.
Yeah.
He found out that we were doing this. Actually, he busted me because I had an inf block and I was making a replica of my NFE tower at spawn out of obsidian, and I was holding a single block in my hand.
Ah, and that's where it came from.
Yeah, I was building this tower by placing this block that had a -1 value, and he somehow he was running mhack. And he saw me holding something, I guess, that had a weird value to him. He could tell that this block that I had was just fucked up. So he asked me about it, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, something's going on. I'm going to find out. You're going to tell me something's going on. He was super pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah, he was mad when anyone did anything he didn't know about.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
He had to know everything.
I guess I may have let the cat out of the bag with the inf block thing, and he found our stash, mine and Octopia's stash, and smoked it, and then And then I think he told House or somebody about the back door out of just pure spite, and
Yep.
it got shut down.
Sounds about right. That's Pop
Yeah.
Bob.
But this wasn't before. I already had created many inf blocks, and those were not. Once they were created, they were there. There was no cleaning them up, and that is what I brought out out to Space Valk.
Really?
And
Okay.
I had them. I guess they must have been on my end chest, but I still had to climb that damned tower at Stupid Walrus' end base, and then fly. How
We
did I get
glided,
out there?
yes. I went over this last night in my Space Valk stream. I showed everybody the screenshots of me doing this.
Okay.
And
yeah.
so we had a glide hack that basically you would fall at, I think it's like 0.032 blocks per second. And so you could walk faster forward than you would fall downward. And you would essentially be running over the void. And that would allow you to clear massive distances that would otherwise you'd have to bridge out or something. You'd fall like a stone ordinarily. But this would allow you to get to bases that didn't have a bridge to them, but were out over the void that nobody knew about. And so funny enough, it's funny you're mentioning Tristan and Pyro's backdoor. So basically Space Valk 1 was only doable simply because of Tristan and Pyro's backdoor a few years earlier, making the whole place, the imps that the whole place was made out of, making that possible. That's wild.
I think I had some what was the quartz block or something?
Yeah, quartz
like that.
and stone and diamond and gold and iron and wood and all of it. You gave me all of that stuff. And I mean, I was probably going to be able to make a base. I don't know how well I would have made it and or how complete it would have been. Because then if you remember, that gigantic, incredibly compromising Tel-At-A exploit happened not long after that. And so we were unable to sort of hide for a while because people could whisper to you. And if you were within a certain distance, people were able to basically whisper to and triangulate your position.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah.
I
and
do
so that
remember
compromised Space Valk 1. And it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. That was the end of the golden era of 2B2T. Because it wasn't long after that Tristan and them took over the server and really ran it into the ground. And then the Russia War started. And it was just like, wow, damn, whiplash. It was just absolute, a total 180 in attitude and in just the power dynamic. Nothing would ever be the same.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, it really was. And that was sadly the end of 2B2T for me in a lot of ways. And it would have one last little hurrah for 2017, 2018. And then by 2019, things would go downhill. Oh, man.
Yeah,
what a
your
crazy
hoorah
ride.
was like the whole next
it was
phase
next
of
level.
Space Valk building, which was just
It was
next
next
level.
level.
I mean,
It was perfect. And I don't know, I guess there are things like, did you heard about, or rather you saw Sal C1's video about how we built the base twice, right?
Well, I was intimately
You were involved,
with
okay.
all. Yeah, I was there for it. I didn't, participate in it, but you always invited me out. So I had been to all of those versions of the base at various times, and in some cases I was idling out there with some different alts at different times.
Really?
Yeah, so
I didn't know you were going as far as to AFK there and other things of that night.
No, I was there, and I was there with
Alpha Wolf 808 or something like that.
Yeah, or Orbis, my other alt.
Orbis, oh man, Orbis.
Yeah.
I ran into you on Orbis way back when I was new, and I was like, I need an end portal. And you were like, yeah, there's an end portal down here. And I'm like, nah, I don't trust this guy. And it was you on Orbis. Oh, that was awesome. Like, God, if only I had known.
I had some other alts. I've had like 5 different alts over the years.
Yeah,
one of them
same.
was great. I had for a long time, and I still use it. Which is Fortari, kind of like Atari.
Atari.
Before. Yeah, And what's great is I didn't tell anybody it was me for a long time, and I was good friends with Aaron. You remember Aaron?
Yeah, Aaron. He still pops in every now and then in my streams.
Yeah, he
and other
does.
places.
And funny enough, I actually, he came out to a base that I had built with a big group about a year and a half ago, and still he loves.
Still kicking.
He is. He's still kicking. But he killed me at spawn on Fortari because he didn't know who I was, and I didn't. I let him. I was never much of a PvPer, so when he came at me, I just sort of I was helpless. But and even these days with like the whole end crystal PvPing, it's just stupid in my mind. It's just.
Oh well, I mean, in my opinion, in crystal PvP is like impossible.
Yeah,
like,
I don't even know what it is. Like, what are you? You're
well, I mean, I know
what
it is, but yeah.
Yeah, you're just using a client to do all the work, and whose client's faster?
It's a micromanaging game, is really what it is, because it's not so much who's faster as it is who's capable of reacting better, I guess.
Nah,
it's an almost impossible game for someone older than like teens, because it gets out of hand wild, like so unbelievably.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
we just don't
I
have
think there
what
must
it takes
be.
anymore.
So it doesn't. You're right. It's like I don't have the reflexes for it.
Yeah, we don't have the reflexes for it.
I don't really understand it, and I'm sure it's fun for some people. Anyway, I just I need to avoid people that are doing that, and I just don't go around spawn too much. And if I see some,
they're predominantly the Zoomers with like 10-second attention spans, and that's about all that seems to amount to. I can't really like. And the fact that the people who crystal PvP, who have a reputation for doing it, they've got almost like, oh shit, buggies, they're biting me. Anyway, they've got a reputation for being like insane or like backstabby. It's really something. And yeah, they all seem to like take the server way too seriously. They're kind of like high on themselves sometimes. Some of them are okay, but I don't know. It's a different way of playing the server that just couldn't exist back in the day, and like I'm happy I didn't have to contend with that as a newer player. I really am. I don't think I could have made it. You there?
maybe. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Yeah, something happened. My stupid headset disconnected and then reconnected. I don't know what happened there.
Oh yeah, Universon in chat saying that 90% of PvPers, Crystal PvPers, have the exact same personality, which is somewhat deranged.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there was a time when like throwing potions at each other was, a way to PvP, and you'd drink a strength and throw some harms and swing some swords, and that's about as wild as I could deal with. But now, dropping a piece of obsidian and throwing a crystal on top of it and smacking it and getting away before you die and hurting somebody else.
Yes.
Is too much. Too fast. Too
fast,
chaos.
too furious.
Yeah.
For two builders, two tools.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that it's optional, My life hasn't really, like, especially when it was at its height, I've not had to contend with any of that stuff. And well, hey, it is what it is. So yeah, actually let me go ahead and get to a stopping point on my hardcore world. So do you want to see Space Valk 3?
Oh, I do.
Oh yes. Okay. So I've got an extra mod installed. It's like it's its own sort of fun little adventuring mod. It's unrelated. So don't worry about that mod. It's called Dimensional Doors. And so I just sort of played around with that for a while. I play with that in hardcore, but for Space Valk 3, I don't really use that to build. I mostly use World Edit and obviously Creative Mode. And so yeah, this is what we got.
Oh,
it's on a whole other level than what it was on 2B2T. I know you said, well, you've made a lot of progress. Yeah, I had a lot on 2B2T, sure, but did I have this much?
I mean, this is what you were talking about with the
this
outer
is what
ring.
I
I never understood what you wanted to do. Oh my god.
I mean, you've seen the videos Fit made, the world download that is circulated around out there. By the way, that ship is not mine. That's just like a set piece for like aesthetic purposes. I'm going to eventually get rid of it and make my own ship there. But that's a famous ship by I forget who. Something Foxy, something or another. But yeah, so I've kind of put a bunch of 2B2T builds or inspired things and other things inspired by other people as well. Do you remember the Sea Spire?
Oh yeah, sure.
This
in fact, I
is
feel like it
the
wasn't all
ceasefire.
that long ago that I asked you about it. Oh, right there, within
This
the ring.
is it. I
Hilarious.
converted it to
see it.
quartz and obsidian, and then I retooled the palette and some of the inner bits, and I've decorated it way more. And this is it.
Yeah,
this is the
that's
Sea Spire
great. I see
as it was.
I kept an alt out there for a number of
I did
months.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it was griefed in like 2019, 2020 or something.
It lasted a long time.
It lasted so long. That place was made before I joined, as it turns out.
We'll never know who.
Yeah,
who
I never kept track of who built it. It was unreal. And they just dumped the coordinates in the chat one day, and I'm like, okay, I'll go investigate. That looks cool. And nobody ever came to follow up or pay attention to it or anything.
Hilarious.
It's just like,
That's so great.
how on earth? And yeah, I kept it for years and years and years. I kept it longer than the original builder, and then I spruced it up and changed it and made it my own a little bit, even though it was still very much like the skeleton of what he had built.
Well, I think you added all of the sea lanterns out there.
Yes, I added a bunch of stuff.
Probably from me at some point.
1.8 build. Yeah, it probably came from you or another place nearby. Bunch of 1.8 stuff came from me.
How great!
And it was wild. Oh man. And so yeah, this is an art gallery.
Is this considered complete? Or
No,
what?
not even. We're maybe 80% now. I'm doing lots of little, little bits like down here on the street level where like you'd be a person just walking around as a player. There's so much that's just empty and doesn't have enough density for my liking yet. And it's got a bunch of like really tall skyscrapers and buildings that dominate the skyline, and like you could round a corner and get absolutely lost. But nothing that would be quality of life. Like I've got these little ore trees that I got from Cytotoxic T-Cell. I made these in honor of her. Mm-hmm. And there's just a bunch of other little, like these little, they're like topiaries or like just park type stuff, little tiny amenities and little fountains and stuff like that. And I've got to do so many more things of that nature. And then down in here is Rainbow Road, where we would all run around. And this is like the craziness of what I built. And then the little slime elevators, I replaced these with honey blocks. I know you're not really familiar with newer blocks. Honey acts a lot like slime blocks, except it doesn't push you. So you can ride these elevators, and they're actually elevators now. And it's just like, it's like the whole place is just futuristic. I don't know how to put it. And so my original goal from way back when was you'd have two views. You would obviously you have your full 360 view, but you have here's the central pillar. You can look at it. This was what was on 2B2T pretty much.
Yeah.
And so going up, you could see this, or you could see the cityscape. You just look out this way and just have all of this stuff to marvel at. Mm-hmm. And then you could go out and this is what awaits you, Oh, it was just insanity. Like I'm gonna go and I've added a bunch of extra little bits and bobs, crystals, little amethyst crystals. They look okay. Chains. Oh my god, I love chains so much. I'm so sad they were not added sooner. Chains were a good addition to the game. Came out in 1.16. They're dirt cheap to make. They really do accentuate most things. Mm-hmm. This was a sign that Hermetic Lock left. A single rose can be my garden, and a single friend my entire world.
Yeah.
It's just wild. And then I made this place. I'm sure you saw all this. And then obviously the auroras up here, the Aurora Borealis. Oh my god, I'm so sad I never got to make that on 2B2T. And then this is, let me turn off entity hitboxes. This is a map of the full thing, it's just unreal how large it is. It's 1,075 blocks long, a literal kilometer wide, and I've still not got it all to where I'm like satisfied. And like there are so many different things. Like I wanted to put, so I've got all these little pipings everywhere so that you could swim through these pipes at super fast speed, and this would be how you'd get around. And then there's the where are they? I don't think I have too many over this way. Yeah, I do. Here we go. I've got these minecart rail trails that just, these minecart tracks just go everywhere. And I've got to put so many more minecarts and minecart stations and tunnels that go every which way. And like, I've got more of these, oh, this is empty. More of these tunnels that are supposed to be filled with water. And they just take you everywhere. And you can just go all across the place. And then down here, underneath the disc, I filled this entire place in with water. And this is about how far I got on 2B2T. In how it's just absolutely, like, this took so long to make. This disc took a year. I can
imagine. Yeah.
This disc took a solid year of just crazy building. And it's got a pattern etched into its surface that you really can't see anymore because I built stuff on top of it. But like, I was sort of like thinking that, you know, this would be, I don't know, a magic circle of some kind, and it would help protect the base or something like that. And I've got lots of villager stuff, like this is our vegetable farms, and like it's on an industrial scale. This is an iron foundry.
Yes.
Just all sorts of crazy stuff like that. And yeah, I every time I get up here, and this is the spot where I can see everything in render distance. Because I've got like, I stopped using Optifine about a month ago at the behest of one of my mods, and he was like, yeah, you should use sodium and fabric and all that, and it's just so much better for rendering. And I'm, of course, yeah, completely. Like, I can notice a complete difference. I can see all of this, and it's not destroying my frame rate. And I can just look out and see the cityscape from on high. It's just, this is a year of streams, and well, actually a year and a half of streams now. And it's just like, wow. This is my legacy, I guess.
Yeah, and how often, how much time do you spend on this?
I stream like 2 hours, roughly, every Monday and Wednesday. And then Tuesday, Thursdays are hardcore. Friday is my own personal flavor of game, whatever game I want to do, I'll do a different game then. Usually not Minecraft. And then I'll do fan server stuff. So I've opened up a fan server recently. It's its own Minecraft server. And I'll be streaming on that Saturday. And yeah, and then I take Sundays off.
Well,
it's wild.
That sounds healthy. You're truly dedicated to the platform.
I want to be, yeah. And yeah, this is just... Yeah, and Andrew here helped make the fan... Or he basically made it all by himself, I'll be real. He has a lot of the knowledge and ability that I had no clue. All I did was play Minecraft for like 8 or 9 years on 2B2T. I didn't know how the inner guts of a server worked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess I could have adjusted and gotten used to it, but God, is it a nightmare. There's so much inner junk that I'm just ignorant to. And so one of my last tributes to 2B2T are all the server maps that I could get my hands on. And just a bunch of maps that people have made. Oh, and here's one of Fit, funny enough. And just all sorts of crazy stuff that ended up being put on 2B2T. Like, I can remember holding some of these maps. Some of these were made after I quit. Oh, funny enough, this is the Sea Spire itself. I made this one. You may remember that one. Just so many maps that have existed for ages. And just crazy stuff like that.
So how do you get the maps, I guess?
So you use Rebane's website. And Rebane has a Mapcraft website where you can make your own maps. It'll spit it out as a schematic. Or it will give you the .dat file, which you can then put into the right folder in your world save, and it will convert into it will convert an already existent map ID into an existent map image. And so this is a somewhat kind of incomplete museum that I've just taken photos of from like Google Maps and other beautiful things like nebulas and other things, and I've just converted them to maps. And so I've just sort of made like this little autumnal landscape. Just crazy shit that I found, stuff that I like, stuff that's beautiful.
So
and
you
I've
can just drop art into your build however you like.
Just bam, anything. Any number of items or ideas. You can make a photorealistic map at the drop of a hat. And just crazy stuff like that. And so yeah, this is how I've done that. And I've got so many maps. I've kind of neglected doing more just because I have so many already. But yeah. Oh, and this is another new thing that got added. So this is the this is an invisible one. So there are invisible item frames. There are regular item frames, which you've seen. And then there's the glow item frame, which makes any item inside it like it's full bright. Can't really tell with items, but with maps, it makes maps fully and completely visible without need for any sort of lighting. Like the map itself is full bright, and so you get the whole definition of all the colors and everything. And just, yeah, I went crazy with some stuff a while ago. This is one of the few buildings that has a definitive interior. I've not made a lot of buildings with many interiors yet. That's why I say the place is only about 80% done. It's because a lot of these buildings have no interiors yet.
Where does your the building design come from? Are you just coming up
I just
with all
make
the
stuff.
buildings on your own?
I just throw stuff together. Yeah, like this. I just threw stuff together. I just thought of an idea and then I added onto it and then I added onto it. Yeah, like this one's completely empty inside. And it looks great. Like, I really like how that one turned out. And then this was inspired right here. I know the stream's behind a little bit, but this was inspired by the Arc de Triomphe.
Oh yeah.
It's this giant arch that dominates the skyline. And yeah, I just threw that together. I was like, okay, well, I want this shape on top of this shape, and then I'll add a little bunch of bits of things here and there. I've drawn some of these on paper, and most of these I've just been like, I'll throw this together, and then I'll put like a little spiral around it, and then I'll copy and paste the same motif 15 times.
I like that one with the circular disc.
Yes, I love it too. Oh, it's one of my best. In my opinion, like this one right here, I'm sitting in front of it. I'll wait for a sec for it to catch up. This is my favorite one. This is the one that I put a lot of effort into, and I feel like it shows. Like, this is some of my best work. And it just, like,
great.
It's nothing like what it used to be on 2B2T.
That's really cool. I like the top of that tower with the kind of waist.
How it's concave.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And so yeah, this is what I've done, and this is what I continue to hope to be able to do. And then I made a little 3D maze here. It's really hard to look at, really easy to get confused. It's an absolute nightmare. I made it as hard as I possibly could.
So you can actually walk through that and
you swim through it.
Enter and exit. Okay, I see.
Oh yeah, that's a new feature that Minecraft added that you probably missed out on, is swimming. So, you know how you're walking here.
I know you can be in water and you can kind of dolphin along. But
no. You can like full body stroke. Like, you can fit through 1x1 holes. So you know how I told you these pipes here, these red pipes, you can swim through them? Well, they're 1x1. You couldn't do that in 1.12. You can't do that.
Yeah, because you never
You're
actually
2 blocks
get
tall.
horizontal. Yeah.
You can get horizontal now.
Hilarious.
And so this is messed up. There we go. And so you run underwater, and it allows you to fit through 1x1 holes. And you would just go through whatever like this. And so this is how I intended, because when I was building on Space Valk 3 right before we were rated for that last final time, 1.13 was on the horizon, or so we thought. And I was like, okay, you know, if I build with 1.13 items and ideas in mind, I can do something. I don't know. I don't know what I thought I would do.
Yeah, that day never came.
Yeah, the day never came, I know. And so we were just sort of anticipating something that could never be. And yeah, I tried to shoehorn a lot of those ideas into Space Valk 3, and it's cool now because when I updated, that was one of the first things I did when I quit 2B2T, was I updated the world download I had to 1.16, and I started making things in it that I could do that I'd never dreamed of being able to do. And it's something now. Like, it's its own brand of crazy. Oh, I didn't even know that was a dead end. So yeah, like, I'm just so stoked to, like, make this place even more crazily intricate than it already is.
I mean, the nutty part of this whole story is that you actually tried to do this in survival mode on one of the most horrible servers that has ever existed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just next level. That's just who does that?
I mean, like you said, we make pretty ruins. Why not make the prettiest, most epic possible ruin someone has ever made?
Yeah.
And to this day, I don't know that anyone's...
Legacy.
Yeah. And to this day, I don't know that anybody's surpassed Space Valk 3 yet with a ruin of quite that style.
Definitely, I think not. No. Although it'd be interesting. I haven't been out there in quite a long time. It would be fun to maybe go see what its current state is.
Well, you remember there was that one build group, Dawnfuhrer. They rebuilt all of Aureus.
Right. I was there actually recently for the
reunion. Yeah.
Yeah, with Fitz and those guys. Yeah.
They talked about rebuilding Space Valk 1. I don't know how successful that'll be.
Well, I don't know. You shouldn't really talk about it probably if you're gonna do it. So.
Well, I mean, that and the fact that they made it known that that's what they were gonna do.
Yeah, some of those guys are relatively young, and
oh, really?
They are. I am still in a Discord with several of them from the Aureus event that we had, and yeah, I guess they're looking at what to do next. But yeah, some of them are younger guys.
Well, it's a wonder they were able to rebuild Aureus without people knowing.
They did it in a week.
They only did it in a week? Holy crap!
Yeah, they removed all of the casts, fixed all the terrain, and rebuilt it all in like 8 days. It's just unbelievable.
Holy shit!
I know.
Okay, that's the first time I've heard that section of the story. I heard they rebuilt it in a short time, and that it stood for about a month and some change. I didn't know that it all... I mean, yeah, they have enough people. I guess that shouldn't be too surprising, but, like, still... Man. When I used to be able to no-life the server, like, I'm kind of jealous, because I could no-life the server once upon a time, and that's how I built Space Valk 1, was that it was able... it was possible for me to not have as much responsibilities in life and be able to do that. Holy crap, that's next level.
Yeah, one of the guys put in like over 80 or almost 100 hours in a single week.
Holy shit, I don't put that much into like regular work.
No, they're like they have well, they did it over the summer, right? Probably towards
oh yeah, they're school kids. They didn't have school, of course. No wonder.
But it was amazing to see.
Yes.
And it's crazy just to show up out there, and I was at Aureus and when it was in its prime, and I never did build anything.
Oh really?
I was invited out there. I've been to all these big giant bases, King's Landing and some of these other places, and was always invited because I was kind of like the
you were a legend.
This trustworthy guy, and like if I was there, they could say I was there, and my name lent some credibility to the base. But I would frequently show up at these places and have like no inspiration at all, and really no real desire to build anything. But I would linger around and like watch people build stuff, and anyway, these guys were kind enough to like drag me on to some of their follow-on adventures with the place. The Fit always likes to invite me and let me know when something like that's going on, so I can come out and be one of the attendees, because he knows I'll show up because I'm.
You're reliable.
These kind of things go. Yeah, right.
You're old reliable.
It's the only reason I was invited in the first place. So whatever, it's all good.
So yeah, that's man, that is something else. So yeah, I'd like to thank you so much, XCC2, for coming out.
Yeah, we have to do this again.
I'll
definitely come around another time for sure.
Okay, yeah, I look forward to being able to interview you for maybe we'll do episode 200 of this, of Space Valk 3 building.
It's amazing. I can't imagine what you could even continue to do here other than just like fill in.
I mean, I'm doing small bits like this.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw me just throw this together. I just pop that down like nothing. And then I've got other buildings that I need to start making. I've got to snake more of these pipes around. More of these giant interconnected bridges and their minecart tracks that go everywhere. Like, I want every building just about to have a minecart track going in or around it so that you have access to most places. And just stuff like that. It just needs to be... There's more TLC I can give it. I hate to say this. You're probably too old to remember, or it wouldn't have mattered to you. Did you ever hear of a show? Maybe your kids were young enough. There was a game show called Legends of the Hidden Temple.
No, sadly.
Yeah, I knew it. Okay. Well, that was a fun game show when I was a little kid, so I decided to build something inspired by that. And I basically built an obstacle course here inside this building. And I've not finished it. So I've got like jungle sections, I've got hidden passages, pitfalls. Oh, did you know there are spikes in the game now?
What does that even mean, a spike?
Spikes. You can fall onto spikes and die, get hurt by them.
Okay.
These are dripstones. They're stalactites and stalagmites.
Yeah, those I've seen some.
Yeah.
I did notice that in some of the big caves that exist now. I guess they generate with those. Yeah.
So these are basically deadly spikes you can fall onto. And that was just sort of my parkour idea. And then I've got a bunch of other stuff here, and then I'm just kind of out of ideas on that front for now.
Yeah, there was some like parkour type stuff in the original 2B version of the build, weren't there? Yeah.
I love parkour, like doable parkour, not insanity. Like there's so much insane parkour out there it hurts, but like something that you could reasonably do. Oh, and I forgot one last final thing before we end off. The dirt mansion that Passy made, I made a dirt mansion of my own.
Oh, wow.
And I've decided to, I mean, it's inspired by, it's not his, unfortunately.
Yeah, but clearly dirt and grass. How great. It's
I wanted to
contained within a interesting cubiform.
Bubble, almost. Yeah, I wanted to make it special. I didn't put anything in here.
Pretty great. Yeah.
And obviously
it's a small tribute. I like it.
Yes.
Nice design.
And it's just little, I don't know, parks, things, crazy things like this that don't really have any meaning per se, but are just fun. Little stream of consciousness things. Crazy fountains. A giant aquarium that literally comes out of the ground. Like, oh man. I've got so much more in me, I just know it.
Yeah,
and so
creativity is limitless. I'm in awe. You know, I have a number of builds that I made on 2B that were my own design, but not like this. It's just mostly I struggle, to come up with unique ideas for building things, but it seems to just flow out of you, which is.
I find that if you keep doing things, the creative juices keep flowing. It helps to with writer's block, it helps to just try to write to get past the writer's block. I find that builder's block is not too different. if you can just conceive of something to reasonably give yourself creative license, you can get off the ground and get making things.
There's nothing that really looks like a, well, anyway, nothing stands out like a personified, like effigy type thing. Like there's no like a statuary, I guess. I mean, it's all sort
I've not
of
made any
abstract
statues yet.
shapes. Yeah.
I thought about making some statues. Like at one point, I was experimenting with this thing over here. You saw the giant white orb in the sky over here. This is a sphere made entirely out of end rods.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah, crazy.
And so people have made holograms,
Oof.
which are basically just three-dimensional sculptures, but then converted to end rods, and it looks like a hologram. And it's so nice.
Wild, unbelievable.
I want to make one or two of those somewhere in here. I don't know where. I'll figure it out. Alpha, funny enough, Alpha wanted to make a dragon at Space Valk 3 way back in like 2017.
Yeah.
And he wanted to make it out of obsidian, and I'm like, yeah, sure, when I get, stuff set aside, you can do that. And obviously that idea never manifested, and I was like, all right, well, maybe sort of kind of we can get some stuff together. And now, looking back on it, I might make a giant hologram dragon out of end rods, and then maybe put some obsidian here or there to act as like, I don't know. We'll see.
Right. Tie it in as a
tie it in.
That would be kind of cool.
To him, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
Imagine having particles on that. Oh man, I do have particles on, but particles destroy your frame rate if you're not careful. Because I've got these little apartments, and some of these apartments have lit campfires, and the smoke particles from the lit campfire they'll pile up and they'll really destroy. Like if you look in the wrong direction, you cannot look away.
Seems like you need to upgrade your hardware.
No, I can't. I've upgraded my hardware, and I have sodium and stuff, but other people can't.
Yeah.
Oh, and I've also made a little casino here. I forgot about that. I made this over a year ago now.
Nice slot machines.
Yes, they look amazing. These are maps, by the way.
That's great.
And so, yeah, just being, like, ingenuitive with little creative decisions like this, it adds a whole other level of prestige to something. And yeah, you have to want to do stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah, you really enjoy it. It's clear.
Oh, I love it. Oh man. So yeah, this has been my life since quitting 2B2T.
Well, not a minute wasted, apparently.
No, I don't think I've wasted my time. A lot of those types. Remember how they were all like, shut the server down, destroy it, end this place, because they couldn't unplug.
Right.
And so I was always of the opinion, like, no, guys, time spent enjoyably is not time wasted.
Time wasted. I would agree with that.
You are making something for yourself, be it memories, builds, something.
You're meeting people, even today.
Yeah,
the
meeting
same thing
people.
could be said. I mean, people ask me all the time, what are you doing on the server? You've been playing it for a decade. How is this still a thing for you?
Right.
And there's people that I engage with every day, and we do things together, or just random people that reach out to me and I go and visit their base or build something small there, or some random guy says, come visit my spawn base, and it's kind of cool, and I'll make a quick egg farm and leave some banners and sign a book or something and take off and do something else. I mean,
gets the XCC seal of approval. That's it.
Right, and then I'm on to the next thing, and just anyway, it's a way to spend my time, and I'm happy to do it.
So yeah, I'm happy I get to actually reconnect with somebody I've not talked to in a long time.
I know, anytime,
Oh,
and
man.
we should do it more often. So
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
generally available, and I'll drop in. Well, we should do this again.
Okay, yeah, for episode 200 for this, definitely.
Definitely.
That's not going to be
probably before then. So,
that'll probably be in like maybe not even 6 months. I want to say it'll be short. God, time flies, does it not? Well, yeah.
It does it.
Well, thank you so much, man. Oh my God, this has been something else. You take care, XCC.
Yep,
enjoy.
sounds good.
Enjoy
It was a good
2B2T.
time. Yep,
Yep.
I will, and I'll be
Oh,
seeing you
man.
around.
Okay, I'll see you around, man. Take care.
Yep, take care. Sure,
Right.
bye.
Bye. Oh my God. Well, that does it not? That was something else. I never expected to get to reconnect with an old friend like that. I want to thank you all so much for coming out and giving me a moment of your time. It has been something else. Oh my gosh. Thank you all for every bit of memory, and thank you so much, Big Nick, for XCC2. That's Big Nick, XCC2 right there. That's his YouTube channel. He's got some videos of some old stuff from 2B2T. You should check him out. But apart from that, guys, I will catch you all tomorrow for Freeform Friday. Thank you all so much to everybody who's donated. I know I couldn't really keep track of everything that was going on during the interviewing and the item moving and stuff. But yeah, other than that, I will catch you all next time. Y'all subscribe to my socials down there. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. We got plenty of crazy stuff going on. And other than that, y'all have a great night, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.